this opportunity, for allowing us to be here today. Lord, as we take care of the business of the city, we pray once again that your spirit will be in this room, that you will give us the peace that we need and the wisdom that we need, and that we will do things that are pleasing to you. We just thank you for this opportunity once again, and we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Place the flag. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Is it on?
No, it's not. I'm not.
Okay, hold on.
Hold on.
Don't everybody tap it at one time. It's gonna get bad.
Make sure Rocky is on. He likes to talk.
I think I like them.
Hey, hello.
That's two
Hello,
times.
1, 2.
Did y'all catch that? Come on out, Mayor.
Yeah, if you can, come out.
You hear what they said about you?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Get them in the paper.
Testing, 1, 2. Everybody got it?
Everybody got it? All right, we'll call the meeting to order with all members present. Thank you all for being here. Everybody had a chance to look over the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Red, second from Johnny. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Reports from the officers. Tim?
Our fuel pumps with the city is still giving problems on our gasoline side. The diesel side is still working. We've had two separate companies come down and try to help us with it, so we've got a third one coming tomorrow. Hopefully they'll figure out what's wrong with it. We'll be back tomorrow. Other than that, it's business as usual.
All right.
How we coming along on paving up there on that head? Yeah.
They got it milled up to 35th Street. They got rained out today, but they'll be back tomorrow. They said they'll probably finish up the first layer by Friday, and then next week they'll start putting on the wearing surface. What they've got planned.
Okay. And how about our paving here in the city?
We're going to start we got some alleys we're going to pave tomorrow, and then we'll probably have to skip a couple of days because they'll be running binder only, and then we'll start back on Monday with our regular paving.
Okay. All right.
We got about 4 more days after tomorrow. We'll be finished.
What is the latest count on our LED streetlights on how many of those we've got installed? Do you know?
I'm not sure the exact number. It was roughly 1,250.
I noticed we've got a sheet here that's got kind of our savings to date, and it's pretty impressive. So I just want to keep that moving forward.
Yeah. Most likely this fall when we get more caught up in the improvement authority, we'll get back on it like we were in the spring. We'll see a lot of difference then too, because it's making about $4,000 a month difference on
Right.
the changes.
Right.
Pretty good savings.
And that'll only increase.
Right.
So.
When we first talked about this, we've got an additional savings that I don't think we've really realized on the front end, and that's that investment credit, investment charge that they've been giving us. I would say that we ended up probably saving 80% by the time it's done. Now, when we start converting some of our other stuff, we won't have that charge, and we probably end up 60%, something like that.
Very good. Thank you, Tim.
Splash pad update, we've revised the times for the fall with school starting, so we've kind of cut that back. Sports complex and athletic update, we've got another big tournament scheduled for next weekend. It's ASA Youth Fast Pitch. We have new youth leagues forming for fall baseball and fall softball. About to start taking registration for fall softball for adults, 15 to 18 high school basketball this fall. New men's basketball league will be offered this fall. Soccer registration through this Saturday. Still working on the Wallace Avenue gym, a few loads we still got to get worked out, but we're working on it daily. We closed the city swimming pool. I think there's a pool party tonight, but as far as open to the general public, it's closed. We are going to keep the DeSoto swimming pool open on weekends for private pool parties until Sunday, August 28th. Still working on the parking rec and the DeSoto golf course budget. Getting ready for the big school start back. And then, of course, we had the big excitement this morning when we lost power for 45 minutes and had the Improvement Authority and Bug, the mayor, and Johnny and everybody up there. And we've got an issue with the air conditioning unit. And so right now we're just running off of one unit, and they're trying to assess the damage. Bug says it may be the motor to the compressor, but we've got Doc in here to look at it, so we may be getting ready to have a hefty expense. We're hoping not, but I'll keep you posted on that.
Thank you.
What is the hours of the splash pad, the new hours?
3 to 7 through the week, and regular hours on the weekend, which is 10 to 8 on Saturday and 1 to 6. I emailed those to you.
Will you do it?
I can send it to each of you. I had sent it to Walter and Randall, but I can send it to each of you in the morning.
Thank you.
And I sent it to Joanne today because she had said that she had some questions. Unless anybody's got any questions, that's my report.
Thank you, Greg. Ronnie, glad to have you back with us.
Thank you very much. No problem since I've been back, but it's only been 2 days. So.
Thanks for keeping it in the road.
That's it?
All we've got going on right now is getting the new truck finished up that's already been delivered to Ashland. We went down the other day and got the shelves figured out on it and making the blueprint for the second truck, so we won't have to go back. They're supposed to deliver the first truck next week and up to 2 weeks at the most after that for the second truck. So,
We delivered it for Payne in 2 weeks.
the first one will be delivered next week, supposed to be.
Okay.
Fund is here to pay for that.
Okay, good deal.
That's all we got.
All right, thank you. Robin, you have anything? Eddie? All right, thank you, guys. Let's see, what's the date? This is
First meeting.
Second.
Okay, on to business. First thing, Attorney Watson to update the council on the proposed slope ordinance discussed at previous council meetings.
Okay. Now I'll turn it on.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is it on?
Yes.
Now it is. As many of you will recall, Andy Parker and I were charged with at least trying to put together the preliminaries on some slope ordinance to take a look at something to control erosion and cutting on the ridges and the mountains within the city limits of Fort Payne. So far, we've identified 3 possible approaches to regulating and controlling the operations of these slopes. The first one's by ordinance. I think there's 2 fairly simple steps preliminarily. The first one being to adopt the best management practice as outlined by the Alabama Forestry Commission, which is a minimum requirement to conduct business under a city permit. That would address the manner in which timber, which was allowed to be removed, would be removed and the business conducted. As part of that, one of the key things is to enforce it. About the only way I would know to enforce it is the city could designate several licensed professional foresters as agents of the city who, at the expense of the permittee, would inspect the site on a weekly basis and report back to the city if there was any violation of the BMP. That's the easy part. The hard part is trying to set exactly what type of cutting we're going to allow. And we have just gotten some stuff in this afternoon that I'm going to look at and see if that gives us any help. We got in from the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, which is in Pennsylvania, so you can tell we've been looking far and wide. And I was struck by the fact that the picture, other than the fact that it has a river, that the mountains on the front look very much similar to ours. And that's some regulations about how to cut, and we're going to take a look at those and see if any of those will fit. We'd also have to decide exactly what are the specific consequences of violation of our regulations under permit. Some allow you X number of days to to come in compliance, some stop the process until you can make them come into compliance. As we took a look at that, however, the one thing, even if we were able to settle on this is how you can cut, and this is how much you cut, this is how much we're going to make sure that you don't cut more than, and this is how we're going to make sure that you comply with what you're supposed to do, that's still not going to address the issue at all of logging trucks and equipments passing through residential neighborhoods. It's not going to address the wear and tear on our infrastructure, the danger created for citizens. And it's really difficult at this point where we are to envision any remedy for those issues which would allow timbering at all. Although my brother-in-law tells me that there are ways you can timber now that you don't even put equipment on the ground. He's going to have to explain that one to me, but he didn't think it would be particularly effective for here. And then, of course, in all of this, we're trying to do it in such a way, we've already had some swords rattled about inverse condemnation, that if we too strictly regulate, then we've got some people who are landowners who are going to basically come in and say, you've in essence condemned our property and we want you to pay us for it. I really think that if you look at other places where they build houses on the side of the mountain, that probably wouldn't be so. The second way to take care of it is through zoning ordinances. Most or all of the effective areas when looking at the zoning map are R1, and we simply can regulate the permitted activities in R1. And if you do that and you don't allow zoning or you don't allow clear cutting, etc., in those areas, then that would take care of the cutting problem. I talked with Mr. Busman, who's the attorney for the zoning commission. That was tried before. It was met with a great deal of opposition, and either the city council or the zoning commission at that time, I don't know which, but somebody made the decision that they would not go forward by that. The third possibility was one that was suggested actually by a guy who was with the logging industry, and he said that we could explore conservation easements. I don't understand those fully enough yet to really explain how those work, other than the owner sells, somebody purchases a conservation easement from the owner, usually the Nature Conservancy, and certain activities in that are prohibited. They police it to make sure that that happens. There's some sort of tax credit which makes it beneficial to the landowner. We have either day before yet, what is today, Tuesday, yesterday, we finally got hold of the Nature Conservancy, and they basically said that that usually happens in extremely large tracts, several thousand acres, and it would be difficult to input into here. So it looks like we're back at zoning ordinances, and we're going to go through these model regulations. Like I said, I just got these this afternoon. I'm going to look at them and see which ones I think y'all may want to look at, and then I'll get a copy of those to you, and we'll try to have something together, hopefully by the first meeting in September. Are there any questions about that?
Yeah, is this something where we're kind of take one of the three choices, or can we do combinations? Is there a way we can then pick from this and pick from this and come up with our own best situation?
That's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to, I suspect that we've got some people that own some of that property on the side of the mountain who would be willing to give the city of Fort Payne a conservation easement and let the city of Fort Payne. I don't know that, but I suspect, knowing who some of them are, we most certainly can do it through zoning ordinances. That usually there you don't get into the, if we're going to allow it, this is how we allow it. So then you're going to have to go by ordinance, back to ordinance to do that. And then the best management practices, that clearly addresses how it's done, so you don't get the sliding and the mudslides and the displacement of earth, but it doesn't, those envision clear cutting. So it doesn't address clear cutting, and so you've got to, on top of that, you got to layer on top of that, you've got to layer some restriction on the clear cutting. It is a thorny proposition. It's going to be very difficult to get right. So it's going to take some time to do that. Any other questions about this?
Rocky, thank you for that update.
Well, I'm not through yet.
Okay.
All right, and this is not on the agenda. I'm gonna waste some of y'all's time, but it's not wasted. I've been here representing this council for 16 years. Of his, and I'm pointing at Walter Watson, 20 years on this council. I have sat right next to him. He has sat to my left in every meeting for the last 16 years. Walter, that means you've had to sit next to me approaching 400 times. I get to hear what Walter whispers under his breath. More importantly, Walter gets to hear what I whisper under my breath, even though I don't whisper. Which is a lot. I have come very much to admire Walter. I've never been shy about just saying things like they are, and to have an African American elected 5 times to the city council in a southern city with 3% African American population is a remarkable achievement, Walter. Walter is in many ways the conscience of this council and has been. He's the peacemaker. He has the welfare of this town at heart, without concern really for his own interest. He is a public servant, second to none in this town. I have a great deal of admiration for Walter. I consider him my friend. His experience when I first got here and all the way through has been invaluable. And Walter, you are going to be sorely missed, and we appreciate everything you've done. Well, and then today I learned that the guy for the last 4 years who sat to my right has also decided to withdraw from the council race. I promise those of you who sit out there, I do take a shower on the mornings before these meetings. But if I'm fortunate enough to be around when the next council, I'm going to sit out there with them. So
Or take a second shower.
Take a second shower, sit out there with them. It hasn't taken long to realize that Dana Goggins has many of the same attributes that Walter has. He's here for the welfare of this town. I don't think, I know I didn't before I got here, I don't think that many people appreciate what an effort it takes to serve in this position when you also hold a full-time job. The general belief is you come to 2 meetings a month and you may come to a few work sessions, but that's just not even close to accurate. Watching what these guys do at a city council meeting is much like looking at an iceberg. You only see the very tip top of it. Most of it's under the water and late at night. And I can promise you that none of them, it's sort of like when I started practicing law, my father told me, don't expect anybody to appreciate you, because if you do what they want you to do, that was what was supposed to happen anyway. And if you don't do exactly what they want you to do, you've screwed up or sold them out. And that's exactly the reaction these people get, and they don't say thank you. Dana has been tireless. He has become experienced in a short period of time. His experience and wisdom is going to be missed. Now, Dana's a Republican. he's a little bit right of, well, I won't say that. I don't really, let's put it this way, there's nobody any further right than Dana. How about that? And I'm a Democrat. I'm the blue dot in the red sea down here, and an Auburn fan. And Dana and I have had a lot of discussions over the years. And Dana has a talent that is could be used in Washington. Dana and I can argue about politics. We can argue about policies of the city. We can disagree completely. But when it's over, we're still friends, and we still have great respect for each other. And there's not many people like that left. And Dana, you're going to be sorely missed. I don't know who's going to replace those two, but you are going to have big shoes to fill. And I just want to say that.
Rocky, thank you for those kind words. You know, and I think this is maybe a good opportunity for me to say something. The decision I made today was something that I've struggled with for a couple of weeks now. I could get emotional here in a minute, but
I'll say something ugly to you and help you out.
But you know, I've really enjoyed serving on the council. When they called, when you know, a little over 4 years ago, and asked if I would be willing to serve out the remainder of a term, I was glad to do it and commit to another term. And I fully intended on committing to another term this time. I really did. I enjoy being on the council. I really do. The only reason I served is I do love Fort Payne. You know, and I love my kids. You know, I want them to grow up in a town as good as I grew up in, or maybe even better. And I wanted to do my part. But you know, I've had a lot on my plate for the last 6 years. Started law school in 2010. I put my family through a lot for 6 years, and it's just time. We got a good slate of candidates to pull from, so I'm going to let them do it, and I want to step away and just be dad for a while.
Well, I have to say, I remember when I first started. Funny story. Didn't really know what I was going to do. Didn't really know what being a city councilman was. I can remember going to Washington on the mall with Promise Keepers, and Coach McCartney said, you need to go back and get involved in the city. You Christian men, you guys that run from it, you need to get involved. So I came back, and Mr. Joe Underwood said, you need to run for council. I knew then it was my time to run, but funny story happened. I think Johnny was on here with me, and we were in the upstairs police department now. And of course, you hear all sorts of things when you're outside, but when you get here, if you guys make it, you'll understand it's totally different. But I remember being up in the room up there, and being African American, you know, you came to this area and you heard about the Klan, you know. So you're going like, okay, they said Klan and they said white people. So I'm going like, okay, now which one of those guys are going to be a Klan? Sitting on a council member. So I sit here and I didn't know what was, and then in the door comes Klan. You remember that, Johnny?
I do.
And they had a bag under their arm, and the guy had a prosthetic hand. You know, I'm freaking out now. You know, I'm going, oh Lord, what are they going to do to me? Well, I found out really quickly that these guys were not even close to being associated to that group. I never have had the opportunity to speak up against minority, because these guys always stepped up and just took the words out of my mouth. They always protected me. So, you know, these are my brothers. You know, I really appreciate everybody here in this city for the things they've done, because they really gave me courage to stand up and be a citizen of Fort Payne. So I am proud to have served for 20 years, 5 terms. Wow, that's awesome. So, you know, my prayers will continue to be with the city, and I hope that the ones that take my place remember that one important thing to have in the city is prayer. That you acknowledge God. Don't cheap it out. Don't be afraid. Just acknowledge Him. You know, when the time comes that they put us in jail because we can't pray silently. You know, keep it coming, because that's what makes this city strong. So thanks a lot, Rocky, for those words. And guys, we still got some more stuff to do. I ain't done yet. I'm not going to lame duck, so don't think you're going to lame duck me. So we're going to have a good time. And to the candidates that's running, keep the race clean. Hopefully, I like to say this too before you go, to the citizens. There's a few more of the guys that's with seniority here. There's Red, there's Randall, there's Johnny, and please don't underestimate the need to have experience on this council and kind of graduate this thing out slowly, because what these guys know is just you can't learn it with a new bunch. So please keep that in mind. Help us spread the word as we do this. Don't vote them all out, because that's not the city. That's not the spirit of Fort Payne. So thank you very much.
Right, see if I can gather my thoughts here. Okay, next on the agenda, we have Michael Bruce. Come on up, Michael.
Tough act to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. I appreciate y'all giving me some time today, and I was here to talk to you about the city business license and what the retailers in Fort Payne are having to pay and the huge amounts we're having to pay. All the retailers are on Schedule D, which is based off gross receipts from the prior year. And, you know, everybody else's is capped. Every other business in the business code is capped. And I just feel like, you know, we're at it, not really being punished, but it's really unfair to all the retailers, not just us, especially the large retailers. So anyway, I just got a few numbers for you, and I'm just asking that you guys at least take a look at it and see if you think it's fair. You know, like I said, we feel like it definitely needs to be capped. In Fort Payne last year, for this year's license, we paid $25,565. We've got 5 other stores, Scottsboro, Rangeville, there's the 2 bigger ones, one's bigger than Fort Payne. We paid $9,000 total, about $1,800 per store versus the $25,000 in Fort Payne.
Michael, how much of that is Scottsboro's?
Scottsboro's is $5,637.
Is that one bigger? Is that the one bigger than Fort Payne?
Yeah, it's about 50% bigger.
You talking about in size or size?
Just in size. The
And how
sales,
do sales compare?
the sales are about 70% of Fort Payne's. And the difference in the Fort Payne's and Scottsboro is their formula is different than Fort Payne's. Rangeville is identical. They copycat Fort Payne's, I think.
How much was Scottsboro's? How much did you pay there for them?
5,000.
5,637.
I'll give you all them if you want to break them down. Section's $135. This is a flat fee. Scottsboro, you got 5 is $2,100 for some reason. I didn't realize it was that high. It's a flat fee. Iders is $112. It's flat. Rangeville uses your formula, but it's capped at $1,000 once you get to that number, and then there's a couple, it's $1,049 with the fees.
So that's what you're paying in Rangeville?
Yes, sir. And, I mean, you know, we're not even close to the largest retailer as far as volume goes. I mean, everybody knows who the largest is, so theirs would have to be 6 digits. It'd have to be, if I know close to what their sales are. But there actually be 2 or 3 retailers ahead of us, I'm sure. You know, some of the ones that I wrote down that are just flat ones, like a residential home builder is $165. Manufacturing is based off the number of employees. The maximum they can pay is $865 a year. Any of the manufacturing. Newer used car dealers is the highest one I could find. And if they exceed, I can't remember the number in volume, $1,815 is the maximum they can pay.
Cap on it.
10 million.
10 million is sales. So
Over 10.
I doubt we got one doing over 10. We could, I don't know. Attorneys, the maximum is $515.
Attorney.
The attorneys
Per attorney.
and accountants. Physicians pay $365 at the flat fee. And restaurants, their maximum is $515 based off volume also.
I'll make you a deal though, since you're gonna talk about attorneys. You can figure out how much I gross as much as you do.
Yeah.
I'll pay $50,000.
Okay.
Yeah, sign him up.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I just wish you would look at it. It's not fair to any of the retailers, in my opinion. You know, one example I can give is, you know, a year and a half ago, beef was at an all-time high. Profit margins were down. City license goes up. It's based off that volume. Every time a gallon of milk goes up, you know, city license goes up because there is no cap. And I feel like it either needs to be capped or the formula needs to be revised. That's, you know, and I'm not saying you need to go out here and jack all these other businesses up. I just don't think retailers should be paying the load that they're paying.
Michael, do you have any idea how long it's been in effect? This,
Well, the last license code I had was 08, and then this one was revised in 2014, is what it says. I got it off the website. I don't know that it was revised, but that's.
The change we made in 2014 was just to the base,
We
wasn't it?
made some changes, but nothing to
I
that.
think it was just to the base,
Right.
went to $125, I think, as the base was the change we made in 2014.
that was the only increase that I recall we had with this one.
No, the calculation is the same, because I face the same
Yeah,
thing
the
in my
calculation's
business.
identical. It's been like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The base is the only thing that we changed in
Yes.
2014. Yeah.
Because we hit that number, the maximum number, we hit it in 5 days. You know, we're already.
Takes me a while.
It's just clicking after the first week. And so, anyway, I mean, if you guys can make us feel like it's fair.
Is it based on a year, on a daily, on a weekly?
Starts over every year.
Starts over every year,
Annually.
calendar year.
That's right.
Yes.
And I think there's a $200,000
Once it gets over.
level, and once you reach $200,000,
Is
you
it
pay a
capped?
percentage per.
You pay $1.75 on 1,000.
That's right, exactly right.
$250,000.
Yeah. That adds up quick, it does. Can I have those numbers?
Well, probably can't read my tea leaf. Can I email it to you?
You can.
I got to take your notes.
Can you email it to all of us?
Yes.
If you can put together maybe a packet and email it to maybe just.
Send it to me, send it to me. Yeah, send it to Jessica.
Or send it to Jessica?
If you send it to me, then I can send it.
Yeah, send it to Jessica, she can send it to all of us.
It's on, like I said, it's on that business license.
Well, and your numbers too. so-
Okay. All right, I'll do it. I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for bringing it to us.
May I ask one question?
Yes.
Do you happen to have the sales tax rates for those cities?
Everybody's 8, except for Rangel's 9, Section 7.
We need to look at that and make sure that we know, because sometimes the county,
I don't know about
it's skewed because the county's higher and the city's lower. But those are the kinds of things we need to look at.
The only one that's overrated is Rangel. They're at 9 and Section's at 7.
Scottsboro is,
Double check Scottsboro.
I believe Scottsboro is 9,
Are
isn't it?
they at 9?
I think so. at
I
least.
think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, double check it. All right.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you,
Appreciate you coming.
Mike.
Okay, next is resolution authorizing the appointment of poll workers in the upcoming municipal elections.
We have a copy in there. It's something you have to do prior to every election.
Mandated by law, correct?
That is correct.
Adopt the resolution.
Motion from Walter,
Second.
second from Johnny. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next is a resolution declaring golf cart sheds as surplus property. This is something we tore down and
We had
Actually,
a
it was in
situation
the
last
storm,
weekend
yeah.
where the storm hit
Yeah.
and took out some of the golf carts on the back or the sheds, and so we're just asking for those to be declared surplus so we can tear them down.
I make a motion
So
with
moved.
yeah.
okay. Any discussion? Motion?
Motion.
Motion from Randall, second from Red, that we declare the golf cart sheds surplus property. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Further discussion concerning the special events which would result in automatic overtime for public safety employees. This is something that I think we're all in agreement that we want to try to do. I think there may be a few other things we need to talk about before we put it into place. This is part of the employee, help me out here, what's the word, the personnel policy that we're going to have to put an amendment in and adopt it. One thing that came up, we've got a list of events that would include in this, which is, mostly city-sponsored things. We've got the city park and boom days and, different things. But one thing that was brought up was the 5K runs. And there's quite a bit of them, and they're not city-sponsored. Some of them are large, some of them are small. We need to decide, if we're going to include any, all, some, designate none, how we need to do the 5K runs. Because those, we could have 5 today and the next year have 10, and they aren't city sponsored. I know there are times that, like when Hyle or Siemens, they'll have special, employee picnics or whatever, and they'll actually hire, an off-duty cop themselves to pay for it. Maybe we do that for the 5. I don't know, but But the 5K runs were one of the things included in that list of events. So it raised these questions about how we needed to address the 5K runs if we wanted to just take them out.
I think the 5K runs that are in conjunction or that are part of a city-sponsored event should definitely fall under there, because, I mean, it's part of the event. Yeah, we definitely need to talk about this, because as popular as those are as fundraisers, that could get out of control.
Yeah, and another thing that makes it a little bit difficult, originally I thought, well, we'll just do all city-sponsored events. That include the Christmas parade, 4th of July, and all these things. But then, you have the fair, which is a big event, takes a lot of policemen, lasts all week. That's a big deal. We need to include that. So to draw the line around that city-sponsored events is not exactly going to work. So,
right.
There's going to be a little bit more discussion we need to have about what events we need to include and not include.
Ronnie, how many officers it take, say, on a typical 5K, extra officer?
Minimum 4.
Minimum 4.
Like 2 hours.
2 hours. So we're looking at 8 hours.
Well, if you had runners and all of them, it wouldn't take that long, but you've got runners, you've got
Walkers.
you've got walkers, you've got people pushing baby carriages and everything, and you can't distinguish it. I throw something in there too, they usually call me 1 and 2 medics too.
Well, this applies to public safety employees.
So with this new development, I know there are a lot of people wanting to know where we are on this thing. I think there's no doubt there's going to be something put in the personnel policy to cover. It's unanimous. It's going to happen. We've just got a few things we need to work out about what we're going to include and what we're not going to include. So, maybe we can kind of be thinking about those things, and maybe we may even have another work session to talk about once we've thought about it.
Ronnie, you're talking about the medics. Now, you use on-duty firemen?
We try to, we've got an extra people, if it's a full load day, we can pretty much send 2 from Station 2 down there.
So you don't have to call in
For
person?
minimum, we have to call in overtime.
Okay, but ordinarily you don't have to call in
Anyone.
anymore?
People on the ship, we can send 2 down.
Yeah, okay.
There may be some other bits that maybe we haven't even thought about that's going to be. So we need to all be studying, racking our brains about this, and making sure sometimes you have collateral damage on stuff like this, and it sort of creates a snowball effect. So anyway, I think that's probably what we need to be moving forward on right now.
I just think we need to go ahead and figure out a time when we want to sit down and talk about that, and go ahead and get that in the works, rather than just kind of set it to the side. So, maybe we can set a work session pretty quick to do that, to talk about that.
Most of that, if I could, most of these runs, you're saving about half the money on, because Randy and I work most of it, and we don't get paid over it.
So you're only using 2 other officers? Okay, so actually 2.
But, if it's a bigger run,
Right.
you're going to have to go up a person like that.
And occasionally they'll have a 10K, correct?
Don't see many 10Ks.
Don't see many of them?
Very few.
Okay.
We ain't got many of those souls around here.
There used to be a lot of them.
Requires more medics. Okay, I'll try to set a work session very soon, maybe the next council meeting before or something, but y'all be thinking about that, kind of how we need to do it, and especially you first responders, y'all be thinking about maybe some of these things that maybe we're even missing. Okay. Any more discussion on that, Renee?
I don't think so.
Okay, new business. All we have 3 activity permits.
Chief Bynum has looked at all those. He said he's fine with it.
You all right with them, Ronnie? Motion to approve all 3 of them.
Second.
Have a motion that we approve all activity permits, and a second from Johnny. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Mr. Mayor.
2 or 3 things. We talked about the website video last time, and I've been with Steve Black. We discussed that, and I think we can come up with something that will be suitable and won't have any advertisement on it. And I've notified the company that it came to us and told them that we wasn't going to do that program. The dozer for the landfill, we're still at a hold up on it. We're waiting on the board to meet, and they missed their meeting, so anyway.
Mayor, I got a call on that. They still feel good about it.
Yeah.
The Thompson tractor, but I understand that the Northwest Alabama landfill or whatever the proper name of it is didn't have a quorum
Yeah, they had to call the last meeting off, yeah.
for their meeting, the reason it's not already been taken care of.
Yeah, and I think Caterpillar is, you know,
They still feel like it's
Right.
gonna go.
they're not presenting it to anybody else. They're holding that open for us, so that looks like it'll go. I would like to mention that this weekend is a back-to-school tax holiday. I think I don't know how much that's been publicized, but I think most everybody knows it. Starts from midnight on Friday night and runs through midnight on Sunday. I think the paper was going to put something in. This is, yeah.
We did.
We made it, yeah. The last time we just said continue it from now on. And, of course, we're definitely glad to see Ronnie Warren back. Somebody's already mentioned that, but he's sight for sore eyes, I'll put it that way. I had a letter that I wanted to read, and I wanted to give it to Ronnie for him to present to an officer. I just want to take a moment to thank you and your personnel for the wonderful job your department is performing for the citizens of Fort Payne. I believe your officers do so much more for our community and the little things that go unnoticed by the general public. For that reason, I'm taking time out of my schedule to write this letter. 2 weeks ago, I went to Atlanta to pick up a load of products like I often do. As fate would have it, a full drum of a cleaner that I sell weighing some 500 pounds came off my utility trailer rolling down Highway 11 in front of Fort Payne Quick Lube. Officers Jose de Socaraz and Dalton Veal came to my aid and helped me load the 55-gallon drum back into my vehicle, which I could not have done by myself. This is the third time in recent memory that I, as a small business owner, has been assisted in a small way by these various officers who just happened to be on control, saw a citizen who needed assistance, got out of their vehicle on their own to help somebody in need. Kudos to Chief Bynum's police force. Please let all those in your department know that my wife and I feel we are so blessed to have such caring, helpful, and vigilant police department in our community. This comes from proper leadership. Thank you, Chief Bynum. And this is from Ken Mayo. So make sure that these guys are recognized. We don't do enough of that. We really don't. Walter, what's the status on the park, the basketball? We still haven't made a determination on that, have we?
We were going to meet Thursday night, but that same group is going to be at the forum. So they'll be there from the Douglas community and just kind of meet with some of the officials and kind of talk to them about what they think. And then I guess Mike, heard anything from the Lions Club?
Basically, at the meeting, we talked about really, they're not really willing to do anything until we decided to go forward with it and a budget is set on how much money it's going to cost to do the project. And once that is done, then once it's a budgeted item at that point, well, they'll be addressed and be looking at the other side.
After the forum, we're going to try to push it, maybe get it before the council, bring a team up. So I think Johnny was kind of we were looking at trying to get a cost that's a little bit lower. I think the cost was a little bit high, but I don't want to skip. That's community that we don't get a chance to do too much in that area. So I like to try to do something, just show them that we appreciate them too. And I think they're looking forward to it. So I think it was for 60,000. They were looking at 60,000.
Yeah, of course, that'll have to be bid.
Bid, to do the work, but I want to do something nice. The Lions Club is there, that they want to join in on that, so I'd like to do something nice down there for them if possible. Turn Johnny loose on it, he'll come up with something nice. Mr. Penny Pincher. That's right. And it saves us a bunch of money. So yeah, let's jump on it after forum.
Only other thing I've got is on the wastewater treatment plant, the grant application has been filed, and that's for a 1.2 million that we discussed last time or time before last. So it's in. We'll just wait and see what happens. And of course, you have a report on the personnel changes, which I won't read, too many of them. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Mayor. That concludes our regular business. We do need to go in executive session to discuss possible litigation. Anything from the audience?
Yeah. I just want to make sure everyone knew I did secure local financing for the dozer. First State Bank is going to provide
Very good.
financing at a lower rate than what we were going to pay. So
There we go.
make sure you all
What
know
I'm talking about.
Thank you.
All right. Nothing from the audience?
There's some new people out there. Some faces I hadn't saw before.
They're all running for office.
Good to see everyone out.
Thank y'all for coming.
Being here, guys.
We're going in executive session.